a team of Republicans that is clear-minded and understands the great challenges that are facing our country. I have the great honor of serving with Judy Biggert, who represents part of DuPage County, the 13th Congressional District, our friend Mark Kirk, who we hope will represent all of DuPage County in the United States Senate, and we are a team, the three of us, in Washington, D.C. Let me tell you what's going on there in a nutshell. First of all, this administration and the political left has learned the lesson of incrementalism. And here's what I mean by that. These are folks who learned the lesson of their big government takeover attempt of Healthcare back in the 90s. So they come up with a new plan, and I am absolutely convinced that they poll tested this and focus grouped this, and they came up with nice, fluffy, light words. Words like public instead of government. Words like option instead of mandatory. And they tried to float this out to the American public, but the American public understood exactly what it was all about. They understood that a public option is no public option. A public option is a government ram down, a big government controlling attempt to grab hold of our lives. And I'm telling you what, I have met with folks who over the years have been nice folks. They have voted, they've done their duty, but they are not just going to be voting anymore. They're coming out and they're saying, how can I help? How do I get engaged? How do I make a difference to make sure that people win elections that reflect the right way we should look at the United States of America? We have all been given a heritage, each and every one of us as Americans. We have been given a heritage of freedom. We have been given a heritage of prosperity. We have been given a heritage of opportunity. And it is up to us, those who are sitting in this room today, to make sure that that heritage isn't squandered. None of us were present at the founding of this country. None of us were present when the founders, those brilliant people, decided to come up with a Constitution that was unique in the history of the world. But you know what? We are all the beneficiaries of that wisdom. And it's up to us to make sure that that which we've been entrusted isn't squandered. Are you with me on that in 2010? So like my colleagues, I serve on one of the committees that has jurisdiction over this healthcare debate, the House Ways and Means Committee. And let me just tell you a little bit of what it was like at the end of July. At the end of July, Nancy Pelosi and her minions in the House of Representatives were doing a drumbeat, and it was, we got to get this bill passed. We got to get it passed right now, fast, fast, fast. Don't even read it. Here we go. Turn the high beams on. 1,017 pages. You'll love it. Read it. Vote on it. Off with you. Go home for August. And the American public basically said, whoa, 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 whoa. We know, Madam Speaker, that you have a wonderful plan for our lives. Thank you very much. But we want to just take a couple of minutes and read this bill. It was not unlike sort of this pre-game feeling today, right? So you got Notre Dame and Michigan, big game. In we come into that Ways and Means Committee, and off we go. And the Congressional Budget Office comes in, and this is a nonpartisan organization, right? These are not Republicans, they're not Democrats. They just call balls and strikes. And the director of the Congressional Budget Office sits down, as is the big procedure before the august Ways and Means Committee, and he says two things, and I'm paraphrasing, but number one, he says, you're rushing us. We, as the Congressional Budget Office, haven't had a chance to read and comprehend and evaluate and study and report on this 1,017 pages. But number two, Mr. Chairman Charlie Rangel, number two, there is nothing in this bill that indicates that this is going to save any money. In fact, this is going to cost a fortune. So when the administration tells the American public this is going to bend the cost curve, oh yeah, it's going to bend the cost curve right up and blow it right through the roof. Are we going to sit here and take this? No! illegal immigrants. Here's the backlot story on that. In all 1,017 pages of that bill, there is technically one little tiny sentence that says something like, illegal immigrants aren't eligible for this. But here's the problem. The problem is there is no enforcement mechanism. We've seen what the law is like. We have laws right now, right, that say you can't cut across the border and come into the country illegally. But if that's all it says, does that do you any good? No. So what happens? House Republicans offer amendments in the Ways and Means Committee that says that's not good enough. That you've got to have a verification procedure to make sure that people aren't coming into this country and getting a taxpayer-subsidized insurance benefit of all the crazy things. And we're going to stand here and fight for that principle, and we're going to fight till the cows come home. Did you notice something? That after the president's speech and all the excitement and all the drama, the Democratic senator from Montana, chairman of the Finance Committee in the Senate, for the first time in this entire debate, since this thing has been going on since the spring, for the first time he said that they're intending to fix that as it relates to illegal immigrants. Do you think that would have happened if the American public hadn't stood up? If House Republicans, Senate Republicans weren't standing up? We've got to continue to stand up and make our voices heard. Are you with me on that?
Yeah.
So they have a first provision in this bill. They come around and they create these big leaps. They figured out, well, this is what you need to do, and we got to reach out to the small business community. The Democrats have figured out, as if that's a big revelation. And in they come and they say, well, small businesses, you're exempt under this bill. Good news. You don't have a thing to worry about. You can just go home and not be so uptight about it because you're not going to be covered based on the amount of payroll on your payroll. Well, when you pick up and you read the bill, what you find out is you're not ultimately protected. So in other words, they don't index that by inflation. So here's what it means. Every small business, no matter who it is, if it continues to grow, they will eventually, at some point, by hook or by crook, end up in that healthcare exchange. Is that where we want to be for small business? No. Or how about this one? Congressman Dean Heller, who none of you know, but all of you would love. He's a Republican from Nevada. Congressman Heller offers an amendment that says, well, if it's good enough for the general public, it should be good enough for members of Congress. Ways and Means Committee voted yes on that amendment. Every single one. But it was swatted away in a partisan manner. So when people tell you Republicans don't have ideas, are you kidding me? They can barely give you eye contact and say that with a straight face. 50 different amendments, actually twice that, 100 different amendments offered in 3 different committees in the House of Representatives, all of which were rejected by House Democrats who are plugging their ears, putting a blindfold on, and doing whatever Speaker Pelosi tells them to do. She is putting a saddle on their back, putting a bridle on their mouth, and telling these guys to prance like ponies. And you know what? They've been doing it up until now. But I think what's happening, I think that the American public is speaking out. The American public is saying, look, you promised a stimulus bill that was going to cap unemployment at 8%. Did that happen? No. You promised us a budget, Mr. President, that was going to go through, and you were going to go through line by line every bit of the federal budget, and you were going to slash through all the waste, fraud, abuse, and nonsense. Did that happen?
No.
No. What did happen? They doubled the national debt in 5 years. They will triple the national debt in 10 years. Think about that. It took 43 American presidents